Alright, thank you for watching this video. In this video I'm going to go over the steps that I suggest that you take to figure out what service you should provide. So the issue that I see is a lot of people say they're going to do Facebook ads and then they say, well, what should my niche be? But why are you thinking that you're providing a service and then don't even know what group of people would want that service? So I'm not going to read through all this because it's quite in depth, but I will leave the link to this in the description if you want to read through it yourself. But basically the fundamental idea behind this is the order in which you should solve to find out what your service should be. And as you can see, it is last. It should not be first. You shouldn't think about what service you're providing and then the niche. You can do it that way. I just think it makes things a little harder. So you should find a niche that you're knowledgeable about, has these 4 things that I'm going to mention, and then find out what is the best service to provide the solution that they want, and we'll get into that. So the first thing is niche, and one thing I want to say is basically all of this document, the ideas behind it is from the book $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. A lot of people have probably read this who are watching, but if you haven't, go and download it on your Kindle, go and buy the physical copy. It's a really good book and it will change your outlook on how you should do not even just service business, but just business in general. So the main things you need to look for in a niche are these 4 things. It should be a growing market who has money to spend, easy to target, and they have a painful problem that can be solved. So it shouldn't be a problem that is impossible to solve. These things are important because one, you need a growing market so that your business will still be here in 5 years' time. They need to have money to spend in order to solve the painful problem that you're going to identify. They need to be easy to target because you need enough volume to be able to close enough deals. So they need to be easy enough to get emails and easy enough to get phone numbers, whatever channel you use to reach out. It needs to be easy enough to get a large number of prospects from that channel. And then the most important, I would argue, is a painful problem that can be solved, because you need to identify a problem that is so painful that it keeps the business owner up at night. And the idea behind that is if someone solves this problem, they will jump on it, like regardless of the price. They will take out a loan if necessary because you're solving the number 1 issue in their business. So the inverse of that is solving the painful problem. The inverse is what their desired state is. So if they can't scale their revenue, their desired state is more revenue. That's a really simplified version, but that's kind of the overview. So yeah, this kind of just explains what I talked about there. So the next step is figuring out what transformation that niche deeply desires, and I kind of touched on that. So the transformation that the niche deeply desires will be the inverse. It will be the opposite of the painful problem that you're solving, or it will be what their business will look like when that problem is solved, I should say. So I've put a few examples here, and what I suggest when you're going through this process is don't think about whether you know how to solve it. Don't think about whether it's scalable. Don't think about all these things. Just put as many ideas down as you can on a piece of paper, on a Google Doc, wherever. Just get it out of your head. The other thing, another tip I can give here is if you want some ideas for e-commerce, because I know a lot of people are in the e-com niche, you can look at the Shopify App Store or any other sort of e-commerce platform app store. Apps are just services fulfilled by code rather than humans. Think SaaS is software as a service. So when you look at these apps, there's not many apps just for increasing paid traffic revenue. they solve other problems, and you can solve those same problems through a kind of more manual service. So once you've identified a general transformation, you need to be specific. So basically you need to put a number to it. Well, when you're talking in a B2B setting, it's almost always going to be revenue. It's almost always going to be monetary, because businesses are driven by revenue and by profit. So you can't just say, I'm going to scale your revenue. You have to give an example, give a number, because that will make it more real in their mind. And another thing is niching down. You can niche down. One, we'll talk about this, like niching down within e-commerce, but also you can niche down to a specific situation. So my example here, e-com brands who are stuck at 10 to 20k a month just scaled their revenue by 50k a month through ads. And this is better, but we can go further. So you want to get quite granular, and the reason you want to niche down, people don't really talk about the reason. So there's a couple of reasons. So one, it's easier to fulfill the service of the same type of person. That's kind of already talked about. But the other reasons is when you show a case study or you show any sort of social proof, it becomes much more effective if it's for a similar business for the one that you're showing it to. So my example here is men's health supplement brands. If you have a really good case study and then you're showing your case study to a woman's fashion brand, then they're going to be like, okay, that's cool, but can you do it for us? Whereas this solves the can you do it for us because you've done it before, in the case of showing that case study to a men's health supplement brand. So that's the other thing. And then you don't even need to specify that it's through ads necessarily. The service is a secondary or even a tertiary consideration to your prospect. The outcome is much more important than the mechanism. And the only kind of exception to that rule is when you have a unique mechanism, when it's something that's new to the market. So this is assuming Facebook ads, right? If you're selling Facebook ads, probably don't, that's the first thing. But if you're selling Facebook ads, then so are thousands of other people targeting the same people that you are. So if you mention the same thing that everyone else is mentioning, you'll get lumped in together. So you want to focus on, you want to understand where the prospect wants to go more than they understand it themselves. So the next part is the offer. So this is kind of where you put it all together, right? And again, this is a reminder, go and read $100 million offers if you haven't already. So right now, through this example, our transformation is scaling men's health supplement brands. So we've niched down, who are stuck at 10 to 20k a month in revenue. So we've niched down to their specific situation to increase their revenue by 50k a month. So that's their outcome through ads. That's the mechanism. So when we put it through the format here, this becomes, we help men's supplement brands who are stuck at 10 to 20k a month add an additional 50k in monthly revenue in 60 days or less, or we pay you by crafting copy that is so effective it will compel your target customer to click. Obviously that's way too wordy, but you just need to get this out, and then this is what you have to have in the back of your mind every time you are writing scripts, every time you're writing copy for your website. And this isn't to say that you should say this sentence directly to a prospect, because I couldn't even get through it in one breath. It's way too wordy. But it's just to get really clear on who you help, what their point A is, what their point B is, and the time frame, the guarantee, the unique mechanism, all these things, and putting them together. And again, there is an entire book on offers for this reason. So I'm going to assume you've read that so far. If you haven't, if you're still here, but if you haven't, then again, go and read it. So the next part is reframing your offer. And this is the part of the document that is kind of my own ideas a little bit more. So everything above is what you can find in $100 million offers. This is something that I think is often left out of the conversation. So when you have a transformation, there are multiple ways that you can frame it and frame your offer. So if you look at the example above of 50k in extra revenue each month, you can rephrase that as 600k in annual revenue. And it's the same thing. 600k across 12 months is an average of 50k a month, but it's a different way to stand out. If everyone else is saying, 30, 40, 50, 60k a month, and it's more of a pattern interrupt to say, 600k in annual revenue, for example. But you can go even deeper. So you can say 1,000 new paying customers a month. And again, if their average order value is $50, then this is 50k a month. But you're positioning it as the benefit from having these paying customers. Again, 3.3 in return on ad spend is, if you're spending 50k on ads, then that's 50k in revenue. A $15 cost per purchase, again, if you have 1,000 new customers and you spend 15k, then that is a cost per purchase of $15. So all of these things are saying the same thing. And the point of this isn't saying these are amazing offers and you should go and steal them, but is to show the fact that you can present the same result essentially in different ways, and that's how you can stand out. So in the same way that you test different ad copy, you can test different frames of your offer too. So the beauty of all this in practice is that you can test multiple offer frames, multiple offers over multiple niches. So looking at this example, you can see offer A, frame A, niche A, offer A, frame B, niche A, etc. And this is 9 different combinations that you can test. And that doesn't even include different niches. Like, these are all niche A in this example. If you use the same thing and then with 3 niches instead, that's 27 unique combinations. And when you attach, 200 to 300 cold emails or whatever outbound method you're using to each one of these, it's almost impossible to not find a combination that works just from the amount of testing that you're doing. And an important point here is, at the end of the day, the market dictates your success. There's no point in listening to a YouTube guru or me telling you that a particular offer or niche is what you should target. What matters is the people, the potential clients who will vote with their money and tell you, they will tell you with their money what transformation they are willing to pay for by spending money with you. So once you send 200 cold outreaches to each, you can analyze the data and filter down to 1 or a few that you can then continue reaching out to. And this will tell you what the market wants, because you can do research, you can listen to podcasts, you can go on forums, you can do all this stuff, and you should do that 100%. But this will give you hard data. It will tell you, the first offer was crap because no one in that niche wanted it, but in a different niche, they wanted it, they loved it. So this gives you a data-driven approach to finding out what offer, frame, and niche combination works. And then we made it to the end. This is the service. So hopefully you can see how everything above leads to determining what your service should be. So at this point, you should have 1 or more niches in mind, 1 or more transformation for each niche, and 1 or more offer that effectively communicates the transformation, and hopefully more than 1 offer frame. So for each transformation, list down as many services that would fulfill that promise. And as I mentioned at the start, don't worry about if you can scale it. Don't worry if it's scalable. Just get it down, right? This is the whole point of this exercise, is to get things out of your head onto a piece of paper, onto a Google Doc, and have it written down somewhere. So if you're reading this, you'll probably get to get your first client anyway, so you don't need to worry about scale. You wouldn't be watching a video on how to figure out what service you should provide if you're already providing one. Again, the key point is your prospect doesn't care about your service, and that's a bit of a broad blanket statement, because once they get through to the sales call, they'll want to know how you intend to fulfill it, to make sure that you can, all these things. But when you're talking about cold email, website copy, all these things, unless it is beneficial to mention, unless you're presenting a unique angle for your service that no one else is using. But if you're mentioning Facebook ads or email marketing or any of these other services that are all the same, or they're all the same in the prospect's mind, because even if you have the best media buyer, even if you have the best email marketer, they don't know that until you're doing the service for them. And to get to that point, they need to not be turned off. So hopefully this helped you. This document will be in the description of the video, and if you want to, there is a Facebook group that I've linked above, so there'll be more things that I'll be posting in the Facebook group if you found this valuable. But yeah, other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.